Hello and welcome to this weekend update. In this video, I'm going to look at the big cap technology stocks: Apple, Tesla, Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, Meta, and AMD. I'll look at what the current trends are, what the momentum indicators are telling us, what are some of the levels we should be looking out for, so forth and so on. So let's start off with Apple. So this is the daily chart of Apple. You can clearly see that it's on a strong uptrend on a daily basis. The moving averages, the green one is the daily 20, the yellow one is the daily 50. They've now crossed above the 200-day moving average, which is this black line, and they're now moving higher, which is positive. Apple has also taken out the February high, which is early February high was 157.38, so it has now gone through that level. So this is looking quite strong at the moment. If we look at the momentum indicators, RSI and MACD, you can see that RSI remains above the 50 level, which is positive, and MACD is above the zero line, which is also positive. So on a daily basis, I'm seeing series of higher highs. Momentum the moving averages are moving higher. Momentum indicators are positive, so it's looking it's looking quite good at the moment. If I have a quickly look at the weekly chart just to see, on a weekly basis, you can see that it has now confirmed a weekly higher low. So this was the previous weekly low, and this is now a confirmed weekly higher low. It has now taken closed above this previous high, so we now have a weekly higher high on Apple. So this is looking quite positive. From a weekly perspective, the next target would be right here, which is around 172. You can see on a weekly basis, the momentum indicators are also looking strong. RSI remains comfortably above the 50 level. MACD is crossing above the zero line, so that is positive. So that's looking good. If I just have a look at the monthly chart, you can see the monthly candle is looking good. It's currently above the previous month's high. The previous month's high was 157.38. So we have another week left before March ends. So we'll see whether or not Apple is able to close above the previous month's high. If it does so, I think that would be a bullish statement. If you look at the monthly moving averages, you can see at the moment it's above the monthly 20. So that would also be a bullish scenario. So on a weekly, monthly, daily time frame, I'm seeing good signs. Now, having said that, if you look at the daily chart, you can see the price has started to move above. It started to go away from these moving averages. Whenever price moves away from this moving averages, at some point you see them coming back and touching those moving averages, because you might say that it's becoming overbought. So we could see Apple kind of slow down or pull back a little bit. So if that were to happen, what are some of the levels we should be watching out for? In other words, I mean, if you are already long Apple, then you can definitely hold on to it, because I see positive patterns on weekly, monthly time frame. But if you are thinking of buying Apple, should you be buying at the current level, or should you wait for some pullback? If you do, if you do want to buy on a pullback, what are some of the levels we should be looking out for? So you can see that this level right here is quite important, which is around 157 and a half. It touched this level several times this week, and then we see rejection at this level. So these would be the boundaries, I would say. So the upper end of the boundary is around 162, lower end of the boundary is around 157.75. So if Apple were to pull back to this level, I would expect some support right here. But below this, the support, next area of support would be around 153. If I bring in the moving average averages. You can see this level is where the 20 EMA is at the moment. So even if it were to pull back and touch the 20, I don't think that's the end of the world. I think any kind of consolidation or pullback is going to be healthy, because you know it from this level it has rallied and then pulled back, and from here it has pretty much gone straight up. So some sideways consolidation to pullback is you know, I think is healthy. So I would look for 157.75 and then around 153.50 would be the two levels on the downside. Resistance is 162. If that level gets taken out, the next target would be 166. So that's Apple. Now moving on to Tesla. So Tesla. So before I look at Tesla, Tesla is in consumer discretionary sector. So let's quickly have a look at this sector and see how the sector is doing. Consumer discretionary is XLY. So if you look at this, you know, consumer discretionary had a very strong run up from mid-December to early February. Since then, it's been gradually moving lower. This is happening because there is some concern that the economy is going to slow down this year. We might have some sort of recession, mild recession, deep recession. And usually when we have a recession, consumers tend to cut back on discretionary spending. And that's why the discretionary sector is kind of underperforming the broader market, S&P 500. So in that context, if I come back to Tesla, you can see that Tesla has been kind of lackluster. Unlike Apple that we just saw, which is on a strong uptrend, Tesla is not. It's going sideways, only because this whole group is kind of not in you know, it's kind of out of favor at the moment. So that's basically what we see in Tesla. You can clearly see that on a daily basis, lower highs being formed at the moment, and it's kind of going sideways. Although it remains above the moving averages, if I bring in the moving averages, you can see that it's above the daily 20 and 50 moving averages, but remains below the 200. While Apple has been able to take, you know, move above all of them, but Tesla hasn't. So it looks like there is more work that needs to be done on on Tesla. If I look at the weekly chart, so this is the weekly chart. You can clearly see that you know, since you know, so it's been consolidating also, and it's entirely possible that this could become a weekly higher low. So on a weekly basis, you have this low, and then this could very well be a higher low. It hasn't yet been confirmed. To do that, it needs to close above this level. So this level is around 217. You can see that this level is also important because we've got some resistance right here. So if I draw a line right here, you can see, you know, so taking out this level is going to be very, very important. So I'm looking to see whether this becomes the weekly higher low. It's possible, but it hasn't yet been confirmed. So coming back to the daily chart, so if I look at the momentum indicators on a weekly basis, they're kind of neutral at the moment. You can see RSI is near the 50, MACD is, you know, hasn't crossed above the zero line yet. Even if I look at it on a daily basis, you can see that RSI is above 50, but it's kind of just above the 50. MACD is near the zero line. So overall, I would say that, you know, it looks more neutral to me. It's not bullish. It's also not bearish. It's kind of neutral to me because I think the whole sector is kind of lackluster at the moment because of concern that if we have a recession, you know, discretionary spending might be cut by consumers. Now, what are some of the levels we should be looking out for? So let's just so you can see that. So this level right here, which is around 187, is an important level. You can see that it broke through this level and it has pulled back and kind of retesting this level. So you don't want to see Apple fall below. If you're bullish on Tesla, you don't want to see it fall below 187. And then it made a swing high of around 200, what was the high? around just over 200. So this is the current range I would be looking at. 200 to 201 on the upside as a resistance, 187 on the downside. If 187 is breached, then obviously then these levels will come into play. But if on the other hand 201 gets taken out, then the next area would be around 212. So those would be the levels I would be looking out for. So moving on to the next one, which is Microsoft. So this is Microsoft. I have to say this is one of my favorite at the moment. So let me just remove all of the clutter so we can clearly see. You can see that Microsoft has been moving higher. If I bring in the moving averages, you can see that it is above all of the moving averages. And you can see the daily 20 and 50 are now above the 200. This is similar to Apple. And you can see the price action is very, very constructive. Momentum indicators are strong on a daily basis. MACD moving up, RSI is well above 50. If I look at the weekly chart patterns, so you can also see on a weekly basis, it has closed above this previous resistance. There was some weakness early in the week, but it managed to finish strong. You can see this is a positive looking candle. You can see weekly RSI is above 50, MACD crossing above the zero line. If I look at the monthly, again, this looks like a bullish looking candle. At the moment, it is above the previous month's high, which is 276.76. So I'm keen to see whether or not it's able to close this month above last month's high. If so, I think that would be bullish. Look at RSI, our monthly RSI is above 50. If I look at the moving averages, you can see for the first time in many months, the monthly candle is above the monthly 20 EMA. So we still have 1 week. I just want to see whether or not it can close above this moving average. So the weekly, monthly, daily, all time frames, they look positive to me. That said, I must also say that the price has started to move away from the daily 20 and 50 moving averages. So I would expect, maybe it would be good if it can kind of slow down a little bit and consolidate and let the moving averages kind of catch up with it. So let's have a look at some of the levels. If we are going to have some kind of a pullback, what are some of the levels we should be looking out for? So you can see right now, it has defined a trading range this week between these levels. So what are those levels? So this level is around 281 and this level is around 275. So those would be the levels I would be looking out for the next leg. If it is I would expect support to be around 275. If 275 is breached, the next level to watch would be around 270. And you can also see that the 20 EMA is moving higher, and it would be catching up to this level fairly soon. On the other hand, if it takes out this 281, I would expect the next target to be around 286. So you can use these levels for short-term trading. But if you're already in Microsoft, I would say hold on to it because I see that long-term trends are looking strong to me. But if you're looking to enter Microsoft, you can use any of these levels as a possible entry point. 275 would be one, and then the other one would be 270. I'm not saying that it will fall to that level, but if it does so. On the other hand, if you're trading and it closes, it breaks through this level 281, then you can target maybe the next level, which is around 286. So that's Microsoft, but I really like Microsoft. I'm not going to hide my feeling about Microsoft. Let's look at NVIDIA, which is next. So let's get rid of some of the clutter for the moment. You can clearly see that this is on a very, very strong uptrend. Moving averages are moving higher, well above the 200-day. Some might say that it has gone, too far at the moment. I won't disagree with that. Now, notice one thing is that during this uptrend, it came back and touched the daily 20 a couple of times. So it's entirely possible that we could have some pullback so that it comes and touches this the daily 20 EMA. Where is that level at the moment? It's around 246. I'm not saying that it will, but you can clearly see that ever since this uptrend started, it has touched this. And I think that even if it does that, it would be quite healthy. It wouldn't be jeopardizing any of this uptrend, but just to be, I think such a move would be actually healthy. If you look at the weekly chart, strong looking weekly chart, there's no question about it. Again, on a weekly basis, you can see that it has started to move away from the weekly 20 and 50 EMAs. If you're long, hold on to it. There's nothing wrong with it. But if you're considering buying, then maybe you can possibly wait for a better entry point. Now, let's look at some of the horizontal levels. So last week, it has defined a trading range of this on the upside and this level on the downside. What are those levels? So this is 276 and this is 262. So 262 would be the near-term support and 276 would be the near-term resistance. If it takes out 276, I would target around 288. On the other hand, if 262 is breached, then the downside target would be around 249. And this level also is interesting because you can see that the daily 20 is coming up to this level. So those would be the levels I would be looking out for. But overall, it looks very strong. But I would have to say that it is overbought at the moment on a daily basis. You can see RSI is way in the overbought area. So I wouldn't be surprised if it consolidates, pullbacks a little bit. But watch those levels as I just talked about. But overall, I think this is any pullback is a buying opportunity based on what I'm seeing on weekly, monthly time frame. Next up, let's look at Amazon. So Amazon is in the discretionary sector as Tesla. And I've just talked about the fact that discretionary sector is kind of lackluster at the moment. And that's why you're seeing Amazon's performance has not been as strong as the, Apple or Microsoft or Nvidia. So let's have a look at it. You can clearly see that it's now consolidating above the daily 20 and 50 moving averages. It's kind of going sideways. It's better to be above those moving averages than below. Momentum indicators are kind of neutral. MACD is near the zero line. RSI is pulling back near the 50, but it remains above the 50. So I would say that it's more positive than negative on a daily basis. But it remains below the 200-day moving average. So this would be one target that it needs to take out, because you can see that the 200-day moving average is still moving lower. If you look at the weekly chart, you can see that on a weekly basis, this has the potential to be a weekly higher low. So this is a low. So this has the potential. You can see that it's made another attempt to take out the weekly 20 EMA, but hasn't done so. It's printed a indecision candle this week. So we'll have to see, what happens next week. The weekly momentum indicators are not yet positive. You can see RSI is below the 50 level. MACD remains below the zero line. So on a weekly basis, more work needs to be done. So in terms of the levels that we should be looking out for, obviously, you want to pay attention to the daily 20 and 50 moving averages. You want to see whether or not it can hold on to those levels. But in terms of horizontal levels, so let's remove the moving averages. So from a horizontal level, so you want to pay attention to this level. This is the resistance level, and this is the support level. You can see that it touched this level this week, and you can see there's quite a bit of interaction at this level. What are those levels? So the support is going to be around 95.50, and the resistance would be around 102. If it's able to take out 102, I would target this one around 108 and change. and support on the other hand is going to be around 96. Below 96 is going to be negative. So that's Amazon. Let's look at Netflix next. So Netflix, it's been, it hasn't done very well for several weeks, but then the last couple of weeks it started to get its mojo back. It had a very strong week. You can see that it has taken out this previous swing high this week. So that's a positive sign. So having traded between these two zones and broken out, I would now target this one. So this basically distance is the full measured move of this previous consolidation. So what is this level? This level is around 350. So 350 would be the, obviously I'm not expecting it to go straight up. I would expect it to consolidate and eventually target 250. But on the other hand, if it falls back below this level, which is around, what level is that? If it falls back below 317, then this would be considered a failed breakout. So those would be the levels I would look out for. If I look at the weekly basis, on a weekly basis, this consolidation hasn't broken any of the structure. You can see the momentum indicators are now positive. You can see RSI's moved back above the 50 level. MACD is above the zero line. So it's looking better than it was about a couple of weeks ago. Google next up. So Google is in communication sector, XLC. So let's quickly have a look at XLC just to see what's happening in XLC. XLC is actually one of the stronger group. There are two groups that are strong: technology XLK and communication XLC. These are the two groups that are strong, and rest of the stocks sectors are actually weak. I'm going to do another update talking about the market, and I will talk about the sectors. You can see this sector has been doing well. You can see that it has taken out this previous swing high. It's gradually moving higher. Even if you look at it on a weekly basis, you can see that it's been making a series of higher lows. So this is not yet confirmed. It needs to close above this level, and you can see that this level is higher than this. So the structure is looking positive. You can see that momentum indicators are positive in this group. So there's a lot to like about XLC at the moment. So within this context, let's then look at Google. So there are two big stocks in this group. One is Google, the other one is Meta. We're going to look at both of them. So Google, very, very strong looking chart. You can see that it has broken this level. You can see that a W pattern right here, and then it just continues to move higher. If I bring in the moving averages, you can clearly see that it has taken out the daily 20 and 50, the 200. So it's now above all of the moving averages, which is positive. Next thing is these two moving averages, the daily 20 and 50, needs to get back above the 200-day moving average for a bullish cross. You can see MACD is moving higher. RSI remains well above. But because of the fact that it has gone up quite a bit, so let's see how much has it gone up. It's gone up 18% since reaching this low right here. So obviously when something goes up that much, you'd have to expect some kind of a pullback consolidation. If I look at the weekly trends, on a weekly basis, you can clearly see that. So this was the this was the previous low, higher low, and then potential for another higher low. All we want to see is whether it can take out this level. If it can take out this level, that would be another weekly higher high. So weekly patterns are also looking positive. Weekly momentum is looking better. RSI is above 50. MACD hasn't crossed above the zero line, but it's moving higher. So coming back to the daily chart, so let's look at some of the levels. You can see where the moving average is in 200 day. 200 days around 99. So that would be one area of support. The 20 EMA is around 96. So From a moving average perspective, between 96 and 99, you have some support. So these are going to act as dynamic support. If I look at the horizontal levels and see what are some of the horizontal levels that we should be paying attention to. If I just zoom out, you can clearly see. So horizontal level, the first level, see this red candle right here? The bottom of this red candle is around 104. So that would be the first level of support. And the top of the red candle is around 107.50. So that would be the resistance, because you can see there was selling. So I would expect, so this would be the resistance and this would be the support. So if it falls below this, the low of the candle 104, next downside target would be around 101. If I bring in the moving averages, you can see where, in relation to these horizontal levels, you can see where the moving averages are. So the 200-day would basically be below this red candle right here. And you can see that the daily 20 is moving up towards the bottom of this channel. So I would be watching those levels. I would be looking first the bottom of this red candle, which is 104, the 200-day moving average around 99. 200 is not 99, 200 is 102. 200 is 102, the 20 EMA is 99. So I'm correcting myself right here. So those would be the levels I'm looking at. But definitely lot to like about Google. Looks like Google has, at least for the timing, turned the corner. So I would be looking for any pullback as a buying opportunity. So long as the momentum indicators remain positive, moving averages are moving higher, I would be a buyer on any pullback. Meta next. So again, this is again another strong looking chart. You can see that the moving averages, the daily 20 and 50 are moving higher. They have gone above the 200-day moving average. So this is a bullish cross. Notice one thing is that ever since this rally started, whenever it has gone away from the moving averages, it has come back and touched the moving averages. So you can see once right here, another time right here. So I won't be surprised if it were to come back and touch the 20 EMA again. Where is that? The 20 EMA right now is around 191. Meta closed at 206. So there is quite a bit of distance between where the current price is and where the 20 EMA is. So but so I wouldn't be buying any I wouldn't be buying the shares at the moment. I would be using any opportunity, any pullback as a buying opportunity. If I look at the weekly patterns, the weekly pattern looks very, very strong. You can see that it's been moving higher. It has established a new weekly swing high. So if you look at this weekly candle right here, which was 199, it managed to close above this level. You can see the weekly moving averages are now beginning to curl. Look at MACD, it's crossing above the zero line. RSI is moving higher. That's looking very, very strong to me. If I look at the monthly, I'm seeing progress at the moment. Monthly RSI at the moment is just above the 50. So that is positive. We still have 1 week left. Just want to see whether or not on a monthly basis RSI can close above 50. You can see that it is making an attempt to get above the monthly 20 and 50 EMA. You can see the monthly 20 and 50 has crossed to the downside. So monthly is beginning to look better, but weekly and daily looks very strong. So I've talked about the moving averages from a horizontal level. So what are some of the levels we should be looking out for? So let's just zoom out so you can see the horizontal level. So on the downside, look out for this level right here, which is what is this number? It's around 194. Because that's where we see some buying pressure right here. You see this candle right here, and at the moment it's now at the top of because I can see some rejection at this level, which is you see this red candle and this green candle. The high is 207.50. This is around 208. So you see some selling pressure around 208. So that would be the resistance level. If 208 gets taken out, then you'd have to target this level, which is around 220, because it has traded inside this range. The full measured move of this range is this level right here, 220. So I'm not saying that it's going to go to 220. Maybe it can consolidate more in this range, and maybe by that time the moving average can move up and it can catch up. So those would be the levels I would be looking out for. But overall, I like Meta, weekly, monthly, daily, in all time frames. I'm not seeing any kind of weakness, but I would say that it is overbought. So, wait for some kind of a pullback if you're thinking of buying Meta. If you're long, hold on to it. Finally, let's look at AMD. Another strong looking chart. Moving averages are, the 20 and 50 are moving higher. They have crossed above the 200-day moving average. So this is looking positive. If I look at the weekly pattern also looks strong to me. You can see that bullish looking candle previous week. This week we have an indecision candle. You can see the momentum indicators are positive. RSI is above the 50 level. It is approaching an overbought territory. MACD is crossing above the zero line. If you look at the monthly, so the monthly is turning out to be quite strong. You can see the monthly candle is above the previous month's high. If I bring in the monthly moving average, you can see that it is making an attempt to overcome the monthly 20. So that would be positive if that were to happen. We still have 1 week left. Now, what are some of the levels we should be watching out if there's some kind of a pullback or not? Because I can see that on a daily basis, RSI is overbought and showing some weakness. So let's look at some of the horizontal levels. So on a horizontal level, so this candle right here, the high of this candle is going to be the resistance, which is around 102.50. And then the low of this candle right here, which is around 92, 93, that's going to be the support. So those would be the two levels I would be looking for. If there is further pullback, I would look for support around 93. And you can see that the 20 EMA is moving up. It's going to be catching up with this lower level soon. If this level is breached, 92, the next level would be this high, which is around 89. So that would be the next level. Resistance would be around 102. So those would be the levels I would be looking out for. It is looking quite strong to me, but overbought. I can see some weakness creeping in, and I think it would be healthy if there was some kind of consolidation and pullback. So watch those levels. I think I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you like the content, please consider subscribing, sharing. I'll come back with another update next week. Thank you very much.